Hello everyone and welcome to Inform New Hampshire. My name is Dean and this is my co-host Richie to my right. And we are Inform New Hampshire. We broadcast on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. in Manchester Cable Television, Channel 23. We also have a YouTube channel called Inform New Hampshire and a Facebook group called Inform New Hampshire. So stop by, check us out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We would appreciate it. We also, Richie and I are both been doing this about a year now. Both of us were very concerned with the condition of our country and the direction that we were headed in. And we also were very concerned about the news and information that the general public did not receive from the mainstream media. We've done a lot of research and we continue to do that research, and so we love to just inform people of the things that we find out. We both are sometimes amazed and appalled at a lot of the information and the background stuff that's going on within our government and within the deep state, if you will, the dark side of the government, the black ops side, the side that hides their budget. So we're always on the lookout for what's happening, and we are excited to bring you the news and information and commentary that you may not hear from the mainstream media. So today we're going to do some dialogue about Wikileaks and some of the recent things that have come out. Prior to that, I just want to mention that Jerry DeLamus is still in detention out in Nevada. Jerry is a great patriot, a good friend of ours, and his wife Susan DeLamus, who is a state representative in the New Hampshire Congress. She is just an outstanding woman and also a friend. So, Richie, you want to say something about Jerry and his situation?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's a travesty that the man is still in jail, obviously, and that please keep him and Sue in your prayers and hope for a, I'd say quick, but it's kind of late for that, at least a return to his home. The man did nothing. He has no right being in jail, especially when some of the people running our country deserve to be in jail or worse for the crimes they've committed. Anyway, if you'd like to donate to Jerry's Legal Aid Fund, please see freejerrydelemus.com on the internet, and you can donate through there. And like I say, always keep him in your prayers, him and Sue. And we were going to talk about WikiLeaks today, but I wanted to say something first, because I know a lot of sports fans probably haven't been sleeping at night, but it was brought to my attention yesterday, I believe, that Tom Brady's jersey was recovered in Mexico by the FBI. So they were hot on the trail and they returned it to its rightful source. What I want to know from the FBI is, how come you can't catch the drug dealers in New Hampshire? 800 people dead, and you can't get these drug dealers? People are sick and tired. People are concerned about it. So I'm asking the FBI to do something. I know you got a lot on your plate, guys. I'm very familiar with the FBI. They're in my family. I won't get into that, but it's just something that should be straightened out quickly, that's all. So turn it over to you.
So all this time you've been spying on me? Is that what's going on?
Basically.
Yep.
Basically,
got a big
yeah.
dossier going, a couple folders full of
Well, I know you were
information.
concerned with Brady's jersey, too, so I wanted to get, you feel a lot better now, right?
Well,
Truthfully?
I should be embarrassed not even knowing what the number is on the jersey, but I just don't care that much.
No, I know.
It's my second home, second team, the Redskins being my first priority, but yeah, I do like the Patriots. So glad he got his shirt back. National security issue, I'm sure. And let the drugs roll here in New Hampshire. Yeah. All right.
They're not that important.
So a couple things. There's been over time there's been quite a bit of releases of information by WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks was founded in roughly 2006 by the organization called Sunshine Press. Julian Assange is generally considered the founder, and is generally described as the editor-in-chief and director. The group has released a number of significant documents that have become front-page news items over time, and of course during the Bush administration, let's see, there was about 2 years left of the Bush administration there. He was considered a hero because he was squealing on Bush, whistleblower type of information, that sort of stuff. And once Obama took office, the press sort of lost favor with the WikiLeaks, as you can imagine, and I'm sure you can put that together yourself. If you've watched our show at least once, you know that the press is basically the fake news. So for them to be called out and to exposed for not reporting or for reporting something false or fake doesn't sit well for them, and they consider themselves to be the propagators of news and information. Their job is to make you think what they want you to think, according to Mika Brzezinski. So Julian Assange was one of the early members of the WikiLeaks staff and is credited with his website's founding. WikiLeaks.org domain name was registered on October 4th, 2006. The website was established to publish and published in first documents in December 2006. WikiLeaks is usually represented in the public by Julian Assange, who has been described as the heart and soul of the organization. Original volunteers and founders were once described as a mixture of Asian dissidents, journalists, mathematicians, and startup company technologists from the United States, Taiwan, Europe, Australia, and South Africa. As of June 2009, the website had more than 1,200 registered volunteers. And I'm just reading that basically to give you an idea. This was it's not really a news organization per se. It's more of a dumping ground for whistleblowers to put their news and information out into the marketplace secretly so that they're not exposed. As we know, Obama administration during his 8 years persecuted more whistleblowers than all the other presidents combined. That's the liberal left for you. That's what they do. They persecute people who call them out on their lies and disinformation. So, over time, a number of things have come out. Most importantly, most recently, I should say, was the Vault 7 release, which just came out, and I'll get into that in a minute. But first, I wanted to say...
well, can I jump in here
yeah,
just
go
for
ahead.
a second?
Yep.
Because I think you're a little bit too harsh on Mr. Obama.
Yeah, am I?
Well, I think so.
You think he'll cry about it?
He went after people that were tattletales, and it's not nice to be a tattletale. My mommy told me that when I was a little boy. So it's got to be true, and these people need to be punished. I don't think the seriousness of the situation warranted it. That's my personal opinion, Mr. Dean. So
No, I appreciate it.
I just wanted to say that to you.
Good information.
Yeah.
All right, so the purpose of WikiLeaks, according to the WikiLeaks website, its goal is to bring important news and information to the public. That sounds familiar, Richie. One of our most important activities is to publish original source material alongside our news stories so readers and historians alike can see evidence of the truth. Another of the organization's goals is to ensure that journalists and whistleblowers are not prosecuted for emailing sensitive or classified documents. The online Dropbox is described by the WikiLeaks website as an innovative, secure, and anonymous way for sources to leak information to WikiLeaks journalists. In an interview as part of the American television program Colbert Report, Assange discussed the limit to freedom of speech, saying, "It is not an ultimate freedom. However, free speech is what regulates government and regulates law." And that's a really important piece of it. You know, without the free press, you would have unbridled government. They would be able to just do all kinds of stuff in secret or in covert operations, that sort of thing.
Thank God that's not happening, right?
So, hence, then we talk about our news has become fake news because it's owned by 6 corporations, run by 6 different men, who basically are all puppets put in place by the international banking cartel that owns those organizations.
Well, I allege they're part of a cabal.
They are part of a cabal, and it is a international foreign cabal. We've been down that road quite a bit on this show.
Yeah.
So Vault 7. The thing about Vault 7 release, which came out just a short while ago, but I would just want to say prior to that, there was a big push right before or right after the election to incriminate the Trump administration as though they were in cahoots with the Russians. So in other words, this is what the left does, and the media and the Democrats, is that they assign labels to people to destroy them, and that's what they're best at. And they've done it, since I've been alive. It's been going on. So they basically started saying that Trump and his administration were aligned with the Russians, in bed with the Russians, and that they were somehow foreign agents that were a threat to U.S. security. So what's interesting, though, is that if you look at the facts and you find the real news, Hillary was pretty much in bed with the Russians. She's on record as having received money from the Saudi Arabians, from the Chinese in her campaign. She also was on record negotiating the deal for Russians to acquire 25% of our uranium assets here in this country. And of course, the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, was involved heavily in stealing land from U.S. citizens so that they could acquire those mineral rights. And that was what in large part, that was what the Bundy Ranch standoff
Hence
was
Jerry
about.
DeLemus. He sits in jail and Hillary walks free.
Exactly. So, so the vault set, but during that time, they kept losing the argument because lately, or these days, I should say, in the modern times, there is the internet, and so the mainstream media can be easily countered by people who want to report the facts, who want to report the real news, and that's what's happening. And so organizations like the Drudge Report or InfoWars, their audiences dwarf audiences like CNN or ABC News or CBS News. And so most Americans, or I should say there is a larger audience for real news out in the internet world than there is for the mainstream TV news that you watch. So it's a surprise they're still hanging on, but they are hanging on, and they're hanging on aggressively. So, but let's get into Vault 7. And Richie, you'll enjoy this because there's this little report here is the top 15 discoveries and implications from Vault 7. So it's interesting how the left got set up because they were accusing Trump and his administration of being in cahoots with the Russians. And when Trump tweeted that he believed the Obama administration was spying on him during the election, the left just went crazy. The mainstream media went crazy, saying that there is no evidence, blah, blah, blah. And only weeks before that, they'd been talking about how they had information that that General Flynn and the Trump administration had been communicating with the Russians prior to the election. So they are habitual liars, and they get caught in their lies quite easily. But they were sort of set up. Trump tweeted that he was being surveilled, and a week later, here comes this dump on WikiLeaks of Vault 7, it's called. Vault 7 is simply just a database of information, documents that were dumped into WikiLeaks and put out into the public. So the number of discoveries, and if you haven't heard this, you'll be amazed, or if you haven't been in the know, you'd be amazed. But this stuff's been talked about for a long time. But so, for instance, the number one, CIA virus and malware factory. The CIA is not just a rogue agency that runs illegal drugs and weapons, assassinates people, starts wars, and conducts regime change. It has also spent untold millions or even billions of dollars developing what is probably the most sophisticated cyber warfare hacking spying department on the planet, equaling or even surpassing that of the NSA. So the NSA has a mandate to do what they do. The CIA does not. But the CIA, wanting to have control and information, they developed their own sophisticated, they basically duplicated what the NSA does. So WikiLeaks reveals that the CIA has its own hacking division that is run by its CCI, which is Center for Cyber Intelligence, which by the end of 2016 had over 5,000 registered users and had produced more than 1,000 hacking systems, Trojans, viruses, and other weaponized malware. Such is the scale of the CIA's undertaking that by 2016, its hackers had utilized more code than that is used to run Facebook. The CIA had created, in effect, its own NSA, with even less accountability and without publicly answering the questions as to whether such a massive budgetary spending on duplicating the capacities of a rival agency could be justified. Does that surprise you at all, Richie?
No, remember we did the thing on the number of federal agencies, and there
How
was
many were
682.
680, yeah.
One of those was Cyber Command, I'm sure, which is what you were just talking about, the CCI.
Right.
Either one fits inside the other. I don't know how it works, but the other thing, while you're talking about that, is
Agencies?
I looked up. I typed this in on the internet. List of law enforcement agencies in the federal government, and 212 names came up in the federal government. Now, obviously, you've got the CIA and the FBI, NSA, all those, so they're not worth mentioning. Well, everybody knows about them, that's why. But some of the ones that might surprise you, sure as hell surprised me. The Department of the Interior has its own law enforcement. Department of Energy, Department of Education. Because I'll tell you what, and I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, but these little brats in the kindergarten, these bastards, they can get really nasty over the milk, whether it's chocolate or white milk. You got to make sure. So you need, for the Department of Education, law enforcement wing, in case these kids get out of hand. I tell you, I'm just a little sarcastic, but
That's why you need the body armor, right?
it's sickening. If this is true, and this came from the internet, I'm assuming these are all accurate. I know that the last time I checked, which was probably 15 years ago, there were 75 federal agencies that had their own SWAT teams. 75. And, think about this. Department of Education, Department of Energy, Department of the Interior, HUD, BLM. Why do they have them? There are agencies right here within the United States. They would have to be set up against us. Unless they're worried about Russians coming over, but don't we have military for that? I mean, this stuff like this sickens me, and I'm sorry, I'm not blasting everybody in government. There's a lot of good people in government, but our government's out of control. It's crazy. 682 agencies, and I believe there's a lot more. I don't think that was totally accurate, but 212 law enforcement wings for all these different agencies? That's bizarre. What do you need that for? There's supposed to be due process in this law. If someone does something wrong, you take them to court. If you can find a legitimate one that isn't corrupt today, you take them to court and you try to resolve the matter. That's the way to do it, the civil way to do it. But anyway, that's I thought it was pretty bizarre. 212.
Well, you remember when Obama took office, he said we need an internal security force as strong and well-funded as the U.S. military.
Yeah. Well, he hired his own goons for that.
Yep.
They're called the United Nations.
Yep.
And NATO.
All right, number 2, bypassing encryption. All these companies promise encryption, and some even charge more for the service. Guess what? It doesn't matter. Vault 7 leaks documents show that the CIA is getting audio files before they get encrypted. CIA can hack into your phone, compromise your operating system, and suck up your messages before they are encrypted and sent. It doesn't matter what precautions you've taken. Encryption messaging apps like WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, and many more are vulnerable. Number 3, bypassing computer operating systems. The CIA can hack your computer. In fact, every part of your computer can be bypassed, including your operating system, per the Wikileaks. The CIA has developed automated multi-platform malware attack and control systems covering Windows, Mac OS, Solaris, Linux, and more, such as EBDs, Hive, and the related Cutthroat and Swindle tools. All right, and number 4, TVs have become spy TVs for the CIA. It was obvious to anyone with half a functioning brain cell that smart TVs were basically spy TVs. See Smart TV Deception. But now we have the proof. In the Vault 7 docs, the CIA has a program called Weeping Angel that it developed with the MI5 and the British security service. It details how the CIA can hack Samsung smart TVs and then place them in fake off mode so that an unsuspecting owner falsely believes their TV is off, when really it is on, recording all the sounds in the room and transmitting them via the internet to covert CIA servers. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this has been going on for a very long time. It was only recently that Samsung, like a couple years ago, actually put in their documentation that comes with the TVs that your TV can listen to you. However, it's been going on for more than a decade. And in fact, in the 1996 Telecommunications Act, it was mandated in that legislation that all electronic and appliance type of companies develop and provide the government with backdoor operations so that they can get into your appliances. So when some of the national heads of operation, and I can't remember, I want to be able to quote them, but I can't, but when they say that your dishwasher is listening to you, they're not kidding. They actually have rigged appliances so that they can spy on you. And they set it up as, well, it's the Internet of Things, so that your your refrigerator can tell you at work that your temperature's gone up and you need some attention or something like that. And so really it's a spy system, and so is your phone. The phone is a tracking and spying device, and that's why it was developed and created specifically for that use. And they put all the features in there that you would like so that you'll acquire it without them having to chip you. But if you're carrying one of these, you're pretty well chipped beyond measure, and everything you're saying and doing is tracked, cataloged, and stored in massive databases. So there's very large databases, dossiers on you personally, that can be retrieved when somebody wants it. Even Snowden pointed that out to all of you. So if you don't have a cell phone and you think you're free and clear, check your TV, check your refrigerator. It was in 2001 or maybe 2003 that Alex Jones literally brought on his TV show a American Scientific, I can't remember the company name, but his cable TV box. We all had cable boxes back then. And he took it apart and showed that there was a microphone in there and a listening device. And it was immediately after that he received death threats and was booted off of one of the TV shows that he was on, or the channels that he was on. Interesting stuff, but that's been around a long time, and so it's just now becoming normalized, and people are just now being sedated with news and information that would not have them rise up. The Overton window, where you're just getting enough information to keep you in your seat, but a slow boil.
Well, this was back in 2011. They did a report on the NSA, this one of the places they have, and I guess it's a newer one, I assume, in Utah. They had the capability of monitoring or recording between 2 and 3 billion transmissions a day. Now that includes texts, phone calls, emails, that type of thing. But 2 to 3 billion, and there's only 300 million people. And we're not all making phone calls all day long. If you're part of the younger generation, yes, you probably are. But for the old farts like me and Dean and the younger generation, we won't even include Dean. He's a young whippersnapper, but what is the need to monitor the general public, the people who are supposed to be the sovereign? Why is their servant government monitoring them? Everybody pretty much lives in peace except for these,
Psychopaths.
Well, between 25 and 40 million illegals that we have wandering around the country, and a few wackos that we have that are American citizens, yes, but for the most part, there's no need of it. And I'm very harsh on the government. Like I said before, there's good people working in the government, thank God, because I hear some encouraging things coming out. Maybe we'll be reporting on them in the next few weeks once we verify them and whatnot, but there is some encouragement coming out that things are starting to turn. I know that Mr. Trump is trying to do some good, and a lot of other people in the government are trying to do some good. But our federal government and our state government is way too big. Way too big. I don't need, and I know I speak for a lot of people, we don't need these many people governing us. They're supposed to be governing issues for us, not herding us like cattle, which is what they're doing. That's the shameful part to me. Our freedoms are eroding because of this. So hopefully there'll be something done soon about it.
A couple more quick things because we're running out of time. Is the government or the CIA was caught running a German spy hacking base out of the U.S. consulate in Germany.
To hell, you say.
Yeah. Electronics, let's see, fiscal damage, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. I wanted you to know about this, though. They are capable of hijacking all sorts of vehicles for assassination, of course, but they are capable of wirelessly tapping into your vehicle, controlling your throttle, your brakes, and everything else in there. And that's there's a lot of suspicion about them killing Michael Hastings because of the way he was killed. He was a reporter for the Rolling Stone, and he had some information that he was on the run with and was telling people that he was going in hiding because they were coming after him, and then boom, his car exploded. His engine was 100 and some feet from his car, and they said that his car took off down the road
like a rocket.
Full speed ahead, yeah. All right, so they also have the capability of, this is interesting because it's like false flagging electronic information. They have the capability to, and this is what they were alleged to have done at the Trump Tower downtown with a van out front, trying to make it look like the Trump organization was communicating with Russia, and they were implementing Russian IP addresses into the communications to try to make it look like it was somebody else doing it. So that's your CIA for you. It is a rogue organization. It is not a U.S.-based organization, even though you think the headquarters is in Langley. That's what they say. It's actually a company, privately owned corporation based in Switzerland. It is a commercial mafioso
Terrorist
organization. It's designed to infiltrate commercial companies around the world to control and monopolize marketplaces and to steal technologies and things like that. So it's an evil organization, downright evil. All right, we're about out of time. Is there anything you want to add, Richie?
I just want to add one thing. We'll talk about it next week, but there is a rally coming up in April for Jerry DeLemus, and it's also in support of Trump. More importantly for Jerry DeLemus, I believe, at the Concord State House. It's in April. I don't have the dates. We'll have that information next week. We'll be more specific on the details.
All right, thanks so much for watching us this week. We'll be back next week. Have a great week.
Thank you.